Good afternoon, everybody. Obviously, you put a lot of time and energy into the off-season program, the training camp we were able to have, which was a really positive one. Our team grew a lot, and there was a lot of improvement across the board. But you do it all for game week, which we are now in, and very much looking forward to continuing our preparation that's already started, but continuing that as we get some really good days of work this week. Going to be a challenge. Expecting great energy, and excitement for the home team there, an NFC North game to kick off the season and the most competitive division in football. Every team feels really good about their organization and where they're at, and every time these teams play, including Monday night, it's going to be a competition at the highest levels of our league, I think. So we've got to prepare our team to go on the road and try to find a way to win a football game against a really good team. Just finished up walkthrough. Everybody participated in the walkthrough outside of. Harrison Smith participated in the walkthrough. He will not practice today, but the hope is we can ramp him up. He's back in the building and meetings and building up his workload for the week. So we'll see where he's at throughout the remainder of the week. But with that, I'll turn it to you guys.
Kevin, how do you prepare a quarterback to face what JJ is going to see Monday? Primetime game, his hometown, first time rolling out there as a starter.
Yeah, those are a lot of things that, don't really necessarily have to do with him doing his job. We've tried to build a world where running the offense and playing quarterback is a collection of really small things. Some would even consider them routine things. And can we do the routine things routinely? And then as the clear, obviously it's different than, the Egan practice fields here or anything he's experienced, at least in the NFL. I think he's got a lot of really good experience, at the collegiate level in front of 100,000+ people. But it's still Monday Night Football. Everything you said, all of that, we don't just start talking about playing quarterback in the NFL this week for him. It's about doing a lot of the things that make up playing quarterback for us in our offense with the guys in the huddle with him who were really excited about that group. And then just, locking in on the nuances and subtleties of the game plan that hopefully by Monday night we can make them as routine as possible. Then the ball gets kicked off, and he knows he's definitely not going to be alone out there from a standpoint of the coaching staff and myself, right there with him. Maybe me too much sometimes in his ear via the coach to quarterback system. But I know those 10 guys in the huddle, regardless of who's in the game, those guys are excited for number 9 to come in and call that first play.
Kevin, what did you see during training camp from the running game and just how much different that might look with Jordan and Aaron as a duo?
Yeah, I think it starts with the guys up front and J.O. and TJ and Ben, and just the way we were able to, against a pretty physical front with the additions we made on the defensive line, really feel like we were starting to understand the why and the what behind what we want to do, but then ultimately it's a fundamentals, technique, and play style thing to want to win the line of scrimmage and move people, and then you've got to have above the neck, you got to understand good NFL defenses, which any defense that Dennis Allen coaches is going to be a really good one, schematically challenging to go against. So we've got to be able to play pre-snap the right way, communicate, and then be ready to play with the right footwork, great first step, hand usage, all the little details that very similar to kind of what we talked about with JJ. Each guy has their own job within plays, and our run game throughout training camp really felt like we were really starting to grasp that. I think even on some days where maybe from the outside looking in or in that comfortable 10 up on the hill, it might have been more about a lot of the things involving JJ, but on a daily basis I was seeing some really good things in the run game as we built up, and now we've got to go do it for real and against a super talented front. They added some pieces. They've always been a really hard front to run the ball against, just because of not only personnel on the front two really good linebackers, safeties that love getting involved in the fit, and corners that know how to tackle as well. So, from a standpoint of the personnel, then you throw in, a guy as experienced as Dennis Allen is, running a scheme, practicing against a really good offense every day. They're going to be prepared, and we're going to have to play well to move the football for sure.
When you throw all that in there, when you have rookie offensive lineman, Monday Night Football, Dennis Allen defense, what's the conversation like with Donovan Jackson this week of coaching points just to make sure he's ready to take all that on?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things, when I think about it. One of the reasons it's been so seamless for him is the transition from when he first got here to his first reps in training camp, and then the days that followed of constant improvement, rep over rep improvement, sometimes in the same period, in the same drill. He might get beat on something or be more over-aggressive, and a veteran player like John Allen or Hargrave uses that against him, and kind of, he learns, how to improve many times without having to go upstairs, watch the tape, and, have a fundamentals and indie period to fix it. And that's what is really encouraging. I also think it's encouraging the guy he's playing next to, Ryan Kelly, and just the steadiness that he brings across the board for all the young players that are in the huddle with him.
Did you see what you needed to see from Christian Darrisaw throughout this course of training camp and in the past couple of weeks to feel like he's in a good spot?
Yeah, I know he's he had a great camp, checked every box from a workload standpoint building into this week. He'll practice today, and we've always with CD, just with how committed he's been to taking the daily approach, we've done the same with him. So we're, going to progress as forward and be smart, but we're going to give him every opportunity to practice and then see how he feels, and then ultimately, in regards to his availability, we'll make that decision as the week progresses.
Kevin, how do you feel these days about the third emergency quarterback designation, and
Yep.
do you feel it can continue to be useful to you this season?
I think it's a really good thing we did, as a league, and I think Max is the perfect example of the guy that, although he's maybe the third guy and can only play under certain circumstances, he's in the building yesterday with JJ, and they're going through the game plans as they're being kind of finalized, and we're presenting them with information that they can go then take on their own and kind of get a head start before we can have them today. And then knowing just a lot of the things that Max did throughout training camp with limited reps, in case that's why they call it the emergency. If it was a situation like that, I can tell you right now I would have a lot of confidence that Max could go in and do the things required to move the team. And that's why our quarterback room looks the way it does. That's why Max clearly earned the right to be a guy on our 53 we're really excited about.
How have you felt about Carson Wentz kind of just getting caught up to speed on the offense and the time he's had?
Yeah, it's been impressive. I knew how smart he was. I knew there would be some kind of connection points for him with some of the places he's been, specifically LA, but then also just his year in Kansas City with Pat and Coach Reed there. He's just been coached really well, and he's a smart guy. And then when you apply just learning new things, the beauty of it is, like before when we've had guys come in, in a short amount of time, there's a game plan. There is a certain amount of things we're asking our guys to do. We want to have a menu. We've got some things that are kind of, quote unquote, always in every phase of our offense. And you make sure that he knows those things. And then just like everybody else, just with a little less, kind of time on task, he's learning the game plan as we go. And I think that's one of the things that made Carson so intriguing was the idea of he's smart, he's experienced, he's played at a really high level in this league. Specifically, you're thinking about Monday Night Football. Like he's played in Monday Night Football plenty of times and had some of his best games. I remember a couple against me when I was coaching in Washington. But the thing about it is the comfort level that he gives everyone with his poise at which he's able to learn and absorb the information. And then ultimately it's about figuring out the things as we do through the process every week with all of the quarterbacks, even Max, hey, what plays do you like? What plays do you maybe scratch your head out a little bit? And which ones do you want to feature if you were to go in the game. And my experience with it is normally it's a lot of those plays are the same plays. Then I get the red pen out and they go to the graveyard to be back next week or in 3 weeks with a new name and a new formation that hopefully they don't remember. But that's the honest truth there.
Kevin, what do you expect from Dallas Turner in 2025?
Yeah, I think he's been one of those guys that I know I've tried to talk about a lot throughout the offseason, not only with you guys but with our team even, of the improvement, the comfort level. His natural physical ability is clearly easy to see every single day. Jonathan Grenard and I talk about it all the time, just how physically talented he is. And now he's got time in the system. He's got really some great reps logged, from last year where he can build on that into the off-season program, into training camp. He's been a guy that time and time again has shown up. So we really do feel very fortunate to have that 3-starter feel to that edge position with those 3 guys.
Kevin, this will be the first game that you've coached without CJ Ham. I mean, what kind of adjustment is that on offense, special teams, and just throughout?
Yeah, I mean, CJ's been such a rock for our organization for so long before I was fortunate enough to be here. The best thing about CJ in this time is if you're not on the practice field, seeing the fact that he's not practicing, you would never know that he's not out there. How he is in meetings, I mean, even today, during when we're talking about plays and installing things, he's voicing some things to the other running backs, to maybe the tight ends, and then he is clearly a player that his teammates look to give them confidence, to solidify what we're all about as an organization, and I can't wait to get him back, and he's on the road to coming back healthy 100% and helping us sooner rather than later.
Kevin, if you look at the records of the teams that JJ has been on going back to high school, I mean, they've won almost all of their games. And, I know there's a lot of things that always go into that, but what do you think it is about him what part do you think he plays in that kind of extended success, whether it's his personality traits or just the way he plays or the way he is, or just happen to be on a lot of great teams?
Yeah, I would not discount the fact that a lot of the times when, JJ, whatever team he's been on, tends to be a good version of himself on game day. And there's a lot of guys that are talented. There's a lot of guys that can, light up the practice field every day. But the guys that can either take it to the game or maybe even be a better version of themselves in the game, have those, the gamer, whatever tag you want to put on it. I think he's got that trait. I think it's important he doesn't just solely rely on that trait showing up to Soldier Field. I think he pairs that with the work that he puts in throughout the week so that he's comfortable. And then, it's going to be his first start, in the NFL. I'm very much aware of that. He's aware of that. We're all aware of that. But that doesn't mean we put a ceiling over him. And at the same time, that doesn't mean because of all that success throughout his football journey, we raise the floor either. I want him focusing on the little details of doing his job against a really good defense. We're going to make some plays. They're going to make some plays. The ebbs and flows of the game. It's just, on to the next snap and start banking some of this experience and using it for your benefit moving forward.
Kevin, is Darisaw 100%? Does he look like he was before the injury?
Yeah, he looks really good. He's consistently, I think he surprised even himself early on in training camp as we began that kind of really crafted plan by Tyler and the doctors and Christian himself. I think in the moment he has, had some really, really good progression days where we've been able to stack it up. And we're in game week now, and he's going to take a lot of reps today, if not all of them. And then we'll see how he feels, and we'll see ultimately Christian's such an important player to our team that we want to make sure that we're smart about the plan. But also, I think he's earned the right to, by all the things he's done, Mark, that there's no reason to make the decision for any other reason than what's best for CD, and he's going to be heavily involved in that.
So evaluating, like you said to Kevin's question, it's just a matter, he's getting more reps in practice and you have to be.
I think reps are fine. It's more so just about knowing we've got 17 games, including a short week next week, and then ultimately, our trip overseas. Like, there's got to be a big picture mindset to a player of Christian's caliber, where this game, all that matters is this game to the Minnesota Vikings Monday night in Chicago. But our jobs are to make sure we're doing what's best for the team, for the greater duration of 17 plus games. And what that means for Monday night, I don't know as of right now. I just know what my eyes have shown me, what Christian's demonstrated, have given us through a really calculated plan, a good possibility of Monday night.
Is there anything you've gleaned from the rebuild of your interior offensive and defensive line that helps prepare for another team that did quite a bit of work on both those sides?
Yeah, I think the one thing we've seen is we had a lot of really good work, competitive work against each other, and that's not just in the competitive 11-on-11s. That's doing crossover work with each other. That's working one-on-one pass rush every day. That's working the inside run drill. That's, seeing the physicality and the play style of those guys come to life while me emphasizing it to our whole team on a daily basis has been fun to see guys that we really targeted for purposeful reasons. And then the best part's been just seeing it come together. But we haven't seen that whole group out there on either side yet. This season, even in the preseason. We saw it a little bit in the joint practices and liked what we saw, but this is going to be real football, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Last one.
Kevin, what's the sense you get on how eager Justin is to kind of get back rolling after missing so much time?
Yeah, he's had, speaking specifically to the last few days and week and a half or so, he's had some great work, and what I love the best about where he's at right now is I think he really capitalized on that time. It wasn't just in recovery mode and getting back to a certain baseline. He elevated that baseline by getting stronger, by really focusing in on some of the things that would allow him to have a fast transition back, and that's what he's done. I don't want to speak for him, but conversations that him and I have had have been very positive about how he feels. And then also, it's he's one of our more experienced players in the system, since we arrived here, and so much of it is about Justin and where he aligns and how that affects everybody else and how it affects the other 11 on the other side as well, which gives us confidence. We've week one a lot of times is about it's fundamentals over scheme, it's play style over scheme because of the unscouted looks. Specifically to Justin, every week feels to me, whether we've scouted or not, which we tend to try to do, there's unscouted looks, and we know that, we've seen that, and we've experienced that. So I think Justin at this point, just feels great about being back out there with his teammates full and running and moving and catching the way he's been. It's been really encouraging.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.